Hi, my name's Felicia Jenkins, and I am a mom. I have three kids, three. A 20-year-old son, I have a 11-year-old daughter, and I have a 2-year-old daughter. As a woman, we have so many roles that we play. We're mom, we're sisters, we're friends, we're wives, we're girlfriends, we're career women. I don't think people always understand the toll it takes on you because you actually lose yourself sometimes when you play all those different roles to so many people. I dealt with a lot of depression to the point where I had to put myself into therapy for many years. January 2012, I felt like my life pretty much came to an end. I was coming home from work and I was going to pick up my daughter from daycare. And a car hit me from behind. And I knew it was coming, I could see it. And I remember just closing my eyes and just asking God to keep me alive during this accident. I don't remember everything, I just remember hearing the bang. I remember my neck going forward really, really hard, hitting the steering wheel. That day changed my whole life. It changed my quality of life. That accident caused a disc to herniate in my spine, and it compressed to the right of my spine. And eventually I went to see a neurologist because I knew something wasn't right. And sure enough, they did an MRI, and that's where they found I had a severe herniated disc compressing into the right of my spine. And between physical therapy, being on painkillers, going to therapy for my mental state, dealing with depression and anxiety, I had a nervous breakdown in 2014. To the point where I even had thoughts of just not being here, thoughts of suicide, thoughts of giving up. And I was asking God, I really thought he forgot about me. I really did, because it just seemed like there was nobody left. Felicia, you cannot give up. You have got to pull it together. You got to pull it together and find the strength deep within. Once I started getting strong, I finally realized that God never left me. He never left me or my children. He didn't forget about me. I was a child of God from the day that he put me here, and I'll always be a child of God. And I just started to pray. I had other people praying for me. And when I realized the power of prayer, that all the challenges that I was going through, it was to get me to where he really wanted me to be, which is a blessing, because now in a few weeks we are moving to Houston, Texas. We are super excited. We're in prayer. We're going on total 100% faith. As a single mom now of 3 kids, I'm so blessed. And one thing I'm excited about knowing is that my children, when they look back as adults, I hope and pray that they can say we had a strong mom that overcame all of her challenges. Even when I was ready to give up, I didn't. I declare faith over fear. Absolutely. No doubt about it.
I thought it was firecrackers at first. And when those bullet holes started coming through the door, it was obvious that it wasn't. I stood up and I was hollering for people to get down on the floor. Get on the floor! And one caught me in the forearm and actually threw me down on the floor. As I laid there, what was going through my mind is it doesn't seem to stop. It just keeps going on and on. That was a description from a survivor of the November 5th, 2017 mass shooting at First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. In less than 10 minutes, the shooter fired hundreds of rounds of ammunition from outside and inside the church, killing 25 people and an unborn baby and injuring 20 more. A video camera in the church, intended to record services for the church's YouTube page, captured the shooter walking up and down the center aisle, firing into each row of pews where victims tried to hide. By the time the gunfire ended, it became the deadliest mass shooting in modern Texas history, and one of the 5 deadliest mass shootings in modern U.S. history. A few statistics. The country categorizes mass shootings in incidents in which 4 or more people were shot or killed, not including the shooter. This year, more than 520 people have died in mass shootings, and at least 2,000 have been injured, according to the data. On December 4th, 2012, a gunman walked into Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newton, Connecticut, and killed 20 children, 6 adults, and himself. On October 1st, 2017, when a gunman fired into a crowd at a music festival on the Las Vegas Strip, he killed 59. February 14th, 2018, a gunman opened fire at a Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, killing 17. June 28th, 2018, a man with a vendetta against a newspaper in Annapolis, Maryland, fired a shotgun through the newsroom's glass doors and at its employees, killing 5 and injuring 2 others. August 3rd, 2019, a gunman unloaded his semi-automatic weapon and shot and killed at least 22 people in El Paso Walmart on Saturday. August 4th, 2019, 9 people were killed and a gunman opened fire in the Oregon district of Dayton, Ohio. Among the victims was the gunman's own sister. In total, there have been at least 2,180 mass shootings since Sandy Hook, with at least 2,460 killed, 9,125 wounded. So far in 2019, 278 people have been killed and 1,060 wounded in 255 mass shootings in this year. We're 251 mass shootings in the U.S. in only 216 days. That's more shootings than the days in the year, according to Susan Miller in the USA Today. In lieu of the horrific weekend and the last 216 days that our country experienced, we at The Well have decided to focus this week's encounter on mental health. These senseless crimes that are plaguing our nation have ended the lives of too many innocent people, and our country is in need of healing through love, not hate, building community and not walls. We who are a part of The Well believe in these morals and these ideals. And so, this evening we are taking the time to talk about love and community by bringing awareness to mental and emotional health. We hope that you'll share in this hour with us, and feel free to share on this post and on your pages to other people who you believe would want to be a part of this conversation. We can take a moment for you now to share to as many people as you think need to hear this message on mental health. All you have to do is take at the bottom of this post and share it. You can start a watch party. You can share it to as many people as you like. Make sure you like the Amplify page, the Amplify Network page. Make sure you like the Well page as well. We invite you to interact by being a part of the conversation and leaving comments as we move through the conversation. We really want to hear from you. It's important to remember that we might not always agree on things, but we can always communicate about those things. Tonight, we're joined by my brother Derek and by my brother Ty. Derek is going to talk to us a little bit about being a person who has dealt with mental wellness, and Ty comes to us and is going to talk to us a good bit about what it means to be a social worker and in the field, especially working with young people and families. I want to start by defining tonight what mental illness is. So I just want to make sure that I note that you don't see a psychiatrist or psychologist on board with us. We did have someone who was going to be here with us who could not make it tonight, but I'm going to do my best to make sure that we do cover this conversation as much as we can. And if there's somebody watching who does have advice in that field, we'd love for you to participate by just typing in your responses and letting us know where we might be in need of assistance. So what is mental illness? Mental illness is nothing to be ashamed of. It is a medical problem just like heart disease or diabetes. Mental illnesses are health conditions involving changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior, or a combination of all of the above. Mental illnesses are associated with distress and or problems functioning in social, work, or family activities. Mental illness is common. In a given year, nearly 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience some form of mental illness. 1 in 24 has a serious mental illness, and 1 in 12 has a diagnosable substance use disorder. Mental illness is treatable. The vast majority of individuals with mental illness continue to function in their daily lives. I want to pull back and start with this, that mental illness is something that we all can be susceptible to. But I want to move to my brother Ty, who's here, and being a social worker, I want to ask you, man, being in this field, how much, how many times are you dealing with people, young people especially, who you come to find have some sort of mental illness that they're wrestling with?
Good evening, everyone. Tyrese is McCall. Let me clarify something. I'm not a social worker. I'm a counselor. The difference is social workers have a licensed social work degree. I have a degree in mental health, and I'm currently in the process of receiving my hours for my LGPC, which will make me a licensed graduate professional counselor, which leads to an LPC, which is a licensed professional counselor. So social workers and counselors do pretty much the same thing, but it's two different spectrums. So once you get that license, you're able to, I call it absorbing. I'm a sponge. Most people come to us and they cry their hearts out, and they leave their life, which others may seem the worst of them, but on us. And we have to absorb that and try to assist them. So thank you for allowing me to get that out there. Ask the question again and I'll go answer.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for clarifying that too, by the way. So the question is, in your line of work, in your counseling, when you're counseling people, how many folks do you see on a daily basis that are enduring or dealing or living with some sort of mental illness?
Everyone you meet. I feel every one of us, whether you were beat as a kid, whether you was molested as a kid, whether it's emotional, physical, psychological trauma, being a educator, being a counselor, working with kids, and I've been blessed. In my short time, I have 4 years as a juvenile probation officer, 4 years as a juvenile correction officer, 5 years as a special education teacher, 5 years as a vocational rehabilitation counselor, 4 or 5 years in administration. Most people, most of the kids come with somebody else's pains on them, whether it's been diagnosed or undiagnosed. We all have some kind of trauma that we have endured that we live with each and every day. The difference is the support systems. If you come from that loving, caring, spiritual family, I'm going to use the word spiritual, we all believe in different things. I myself believe in God. Everybody don't, subscribe to that thought, but we believe in something. Depending on the more support you have and the more open to communication, effective communication is in your family, we deal with our mental health issues. Those individuals who do not or are not blessed with open forms of communication, these are the ones that we see doing things that we frown upon.
Yeah.
But this is their world.
Yeah. So let me follow up with that. So one of the things that I was thinking about, how when you're working with younger people,
Yes, sir.
how do those kids that are dealing with mental disabilities, how do you even recognize? How do you even begin to go, okay, there's something different with this child. There's something that might be off, right? You know, especially because you also say you've worked with special education. My grandmother was a special education teacher, and I mean, I was there in her classroom many times, and there, you know, how do you even begin as a parent to go, there's maybe something different? How do you, as a person in society, go, yeah, there's something we need to, you know?
See, I personally, and as I speak, I don't have any professional books out here. I haven't written anything yet. I speak from my personal beliefs.
Yeah.
My personal belief may not be what my brother believe in or what you believe in. But it's hard for me to answer that because there's an old saying that says, hurt people hurt people. Mm-hmm. So, hurt people hurt people. So therefore, in that statement, I've had young men who sat in front of me, or young women who are on probation or they're going through the court system because they molested a younger brother, sister, or so on. But when you sit them down and talk to them, they too was molested. So if I've been molested since I was 3 years old and I'm 13 now, that's 10 years of molestation, I'm only doing to me someone else what was done to me. Nobody protected me.
Yeah.
Nobody defended me. Nobody was there for me. So if I didn't know what was done to me was wrong, I mentioned another, I found out that I was molested and raped as a kid. I found out my senior year in high school when my counselor said, oh, that's molestation. But from the age of 7 to 10, I ain't have nobody saying, hey, oh my God, that's wrong. Yeah. It was just a part of my everyday life.
Yeah.
There was a victim. I was a victim. There was a predator. He took advantage of the opportunity. And because my family wasn't a communicating family and we didn't talk about abuse and sex and this and that,
Yeah.
it was a part of my world.
Yeah.
So now that I'm 18 years old and you got the audacity to say, you're a child molester, you should go to hell. Hold pause.
Yeah.
You wasn't there for me. Nobody protected me.
Yeah.
So hurt people. They spread on to another what they receive.
Yeah.
Say that.
Now to somebody else who's judgmental, and we all have our own opinion, a lot of us don't clean out our own closet.
Yeah.
But we got an opinion. A lot of stuff that I vocalize in Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and Twitter about, I talk about your dirt, so I don't have to talk about my dirt.
Yeah.
So therefore, if I never fess up to my dirt, so with these young people that I talk to, every case and scenario is for that person. You cannot put the same shoe or the same clothing on every person. So you have to let them know you're not judgmental.
I want to pause you. How, as a person who's gone through, how has that helped you in your counseling?
I said this last time as well. I turned 42 June the 28th. And I can honestly say everything that I've endured in my 42 years has prepped me to be the person who's before you. In my personal life, I've asked God to allow me to walk in the shoes that I speak on. So therefore, if I talk to somebody who's been molested, I'm talking from a personal standpoint. We have something in common. I'm not coming from what Freud or Erickson or Piaget said. And that's a different world, you know. A lot of us try to apply book knowledge, but personal experience is invaluable. You know, so it helps me very much. I left here, Terrence called me and asked me, I was dealing with a young man who, before I got here, was like, Mr. McCall, I don't want to be here no more. I'm tired of being yada, yada, yada. And, you know, so I was like, okay, we got options. What you want to do? And he just looked at me. And I said, why are you looking at me like that? He said, you're the first person who asked me what I want to do. As adults, we're so trained to talk at people and talk to people. This is what you need to do. You need to go do A, B, C, and D, and and this kid is saying like, yo, you don't even know my story. You just heard me say I don't want to be here. So I've trained myself to shut up and listen. Normally when you give the individual, the client, the floor, he or she will tell you what they need. And I think all the individuals that have done God knows whatever things, the people around them didn't listen to them. They've been screaming for help. They've been doing what they do, but we miss those signals.
That's a statistic. It says 86% of children killed in mass shootings died in domestic or family violence related incidents. How do we... The young people that we're dealing with can have mental disabilities, but so can sometimes the parents. And they've gone years without being diagnosed, right? Or they've gone years without seeking help. What do you say to those parents who might feel like there is something that they should get checked out, but they don't? How do you convince a parent? How do you convince a family member? You see that the child's being affected by what's happening in the home. How do you respond to that? How do you move the adults in the situation to go wrestle with that?
I'm a Southern boy, Alabama boy, born and raised. As the old saying, it's an apple don't fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
Most kids are products of who they come from, and their families are in denial, and they don't seek mental help because it takes a lot. Right now, I'm in front of 1,000, 5,000 people, but agreement I made with God as a kid: if you help me to survive my situation, I would spend the rest of my life helping those others through their situation. So this is my calling. This is what He put me here. I was birthed for this. But I've sat here and put a lot of stuff out. These people don't know me. I don't know these good people. They looking at me like, okay, cool. He done told me he's been molested. He's been raped. And so normally when you're the victim of something, society deems you unfit because you are the victim. But in my family, that's the professional. That person who's been through that pain and survived and can talk to you about it, I can spread that to him.
Yeah.
And I can reach his deepest spot or his darkest spot and help bring him to where I survived too. Yeah. But society has said, and Facebook has said, and Twitter has said, and Instagram has said that I can't be honest. So most parents don't want to be known as the crazy person. They don't want to take their kid to the doctor and say, oh my God, he's bipolar, he's schizophrenic. And the younger you are, they don't put these diagnoses on you anyway until you into your 18-ish and up. You know, you may see some people under 15, 16, 14 diagnosed with depression, schizophrenic, bipolarism, so on. But when they do, there's almost like a question mark behind it. It's symptoms that he or she is portraying, and they have to come up with something out of DSM-5 to try to justify the medication they want to put us on. So whatever symptoms you exhibit that matches the symptom that's been diagnosed in this DSM-5, you're now married together, and you're both. You're bipolar and schizophrenic. And they go with it. And so most families and most parents don't want to. They don't want the world to know that I'm crazy. They don't want the world to know that I'm messed up. So therefore, we avoid it.
I want to go back and then let me have one question. So you talk about, and I've heard you before, even in this on this platform, talk about being molested, being raped. You weren't always forthcoming with that. You didn't just come out the moment it happened and tell, or did you?
Nah.
And what were the effects on you and your mental capacity and your mental well-being? How did that affect you mentally? How did that affect you emotionally?
For years, I put it in a storage cabinet way back at the back room that nobody goes to.
Yeah.
So if they don't go to it, I don't have to go to it.
Yeah.
So that's humans. That's all of us.
Yeah.
We hide our pain way back somewhere because once again, if I can hide my pain, I'm human.
Yeah.
For me to face my pain, I'm vulnerable because the world is vicious. Oh my God. Like, yo, right now he's 6'4", 300 pounds and he was molested. He's a punk.
Yeah.
He's not a man. He's not tough.
Yeah.
Catch me off camera. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
So, but in this moment, In this moment, I have to be me. I have to be this person that I don't question it. As we said on one of the earlier shows, I decided to free myself of my pain, and by freeing myself, I knew I would help somebody else gain.
Yeah. But and you haven't always felt that way. So what was the click? What was the place that went, okay, Ty, you've dealt with this long enough. When did that switch?
I don't know, sir. 2019 was the free Tyrese. I wanted to lose weight. I've been doing that. I wanted to lose mental pain, mental weight. I've been doing that. And in the different roles I've played, I've had so many young men. I've been blessed more by the adults this year, because I've had so many other men come up to me and be like, yo, I've been wanting to tell somebody for 40 years I was molested. I was raped.
40 years.
Me hearing you say that, brother, I was raped too.
Yeah.
I was molested too. And they just start crying. And I'm that person that I can cry with you.
Yeah.
I try to be strong, but I'm human. You know what I'm saying? I know what it feels to walk around and have that pressure on your back. But by me admitting the manly man saying, hey, it happened to me.
Yeah.
So I've had about 40 people, 40 men in 2019 in different forms and platforms of me telling my story that have been able to say, hey, yo, the way you just freed me.
Yeah.
You just, because how can I come out and say, yo, I'm a man. I was raped.
Yeah.
I was molested. I was hurt. I was this. And society says we have to keep it to ourselves.
Yeah.
And like every volcano, if you a history of geography or the Earth, forgot what's the study of the Earth? Geology. The study of geology. That volcano may brew and spew for 10, 15 years, but when it blows, it blows.
Yeah.
And there's no taking back it. And everything that lava touches instantly gone.
Yeah.
So
And so I have a question that, and I don't want you to take it physical. I'm just a person who likes to ask. If it's wrong, it's wrong. I'm off. You talked about dropping the mental weight. You've also talked about dropping the physical weight. Is the physical weight at all any reflection of the mental weight?
yes, stress leads to. I don't make excuses. I just got caught up in life. Like, I came out my mama 130. I'm being funny, but I was always a big baby.
Yeah.
I played football. You know what I'm saying?
Big bone.
Big bone. I played football.
Black turn, big bone.
I'm a defensive lineman, so I've been big my whole life. So
Yeah.
you spend 15 years working out, lifting weights, you're stronger than everything, and then you stop lifting weights. What you do then?
Yeah.
Every people say you're fat. I'm blessed.
Yeah.
You know. So I see a slender brother like yourself. You need to get something to eat. You hungry?
Yeah.
You know,
You from the South.
I'm from the South.
That's what the South says. That's what the South says.
But now that you're 42 and I see my 14-year-old getting older, my 12-year-old getting older, and they start talking about diabetes and high blood pressure and sugar and insulin. Oh, pause.
Yeah.
I can lose this.
Yeah.
But it's not as easy as we said. You know,
Yeah.
for years I've ate what I wanted to eat when I wanted to eat, how I wanted to eat it.
Right.
Now you're telling me I got to eat a piece of toast and 3 grapes. That's depression. Like, or walk around and drink water all day. You know, so once again, it's accepting your life. You know, but so hopefully to answer that question.
No, it's good. I want to jump over to Derek. Derek is a part of our panel as well. And Derek also, Derek is an extremely smart guy, man. He's a good friend of mine. He's also a member of our squad. But Derek, why don't you talk to us a little bit about sort of what your experience has been with mental health?
Well, I have a wide range of experience, and I say that because I both have been in the mental health care system in multiple levels as someone who identifies as someone who I identify as having mental illness. I currently, even this past like 2 weeks ago, I went to see my counselor about things that I'm dealing with now that, I need someone to help me deal with. And then my mother is a psychotherapist, has been practicing, 30 years, 30 plus years. My partner is a psychiatrist, so I've lived around mental health care professionals most of my life. And then, as I said, I've been in the mental health care system, in the healthcare system, dealing with mental health issues since I was 19. I've been in an inpatient facility for 2 months. So I've experienced the 15-minute bed checks and the, can't have your shoelaces in your belt. And, I have been through lots of the system.
And what's your particular diagnosis?
I mean, so I have one specific diagnosis. I was diagnosed with PTSD in 2007 because I went to a war zone and fought in a war.
Which is PTSD is?
PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. Some people call it just post-traumatic stress because they don't want to call it a disorder. I'm not sure it really matters to me what you call it. Yeah, so when I was 18, I joined the Marines. I was in the infantry.
Simplified, Jawhead.
Yeah. And so I went off to Iraq with my unit in 2006, and I was in the 2007 push, the surge around Fallujah. So I patrolled a section of roads south of Fallujah, which on its west end started right outside the Abu Ghraib prison, and then went about halfway up the east end of Fallujah. So it went from the west and the south all the way halfway up the east end. And Fallujah is not a small town, so it was a wide section of road we patrolled. And this was 2006. This was after the incidents in Abu Ghraib came out, so this town was obviously not happy with us. So we countered a lot of fighting, a lot of things that gave us trauma.
Yeah.
One of the reason why I really appreciate what Terrence was saying about communication is I was blessed in that when I came home from my first deployment, I had a month off, went to stay with my mom, and she was like, "Okay, my son has to change his shirts 5 times a day because he's sweating through them. I can hear him call out at night. I can tell he's not doing doing well. So let me encourage." And my mom is a Southern woman, so encourage is maybe a different word for other people. But she encouraged me to go get therapy. She said, "You need to get therapy. You need to get help." I mean, I didn't listen to her right away, but I was lucky enough where my mom was like, "No, we're gonna, if you want to, you need to deal with this because this is an issue, and this is a correctable issue in the sense that mental health care treatment exists. It's effective.
Right.
You can manage it, and for instance, I consider my PTSD managed. Yes, I still have symptoms every now and then, but it's managed. I have the tools. I have the experience, and now I manage it very well on my own."
So I want to go back, though. I want to paint the picture for people who are here and both listening. You said I changed my shirt multiple times a day. Why?
Oh, because it was you see the funny, people sweating, it starts coming out their armpits, right? That was, I needed to change my shirt.
But why were you sweating?
I was just so anxious.
Yeah.
My anxiety level. So so one of the things that's interesting about a difference between World War II and the Korea Wars, that area, and starting in Vietnam and subsequent conflicts, is that it used to be you left the war zone, you got on a ship, and it took you a month or 2 to get home, right? Or it took time to get home. And so you would go through this process, which did not cure everyone's ills or anything, but you would go through a processing time with the people that you experienced this with, where you could talk.
Okay.
And kind of
and vent and
get some of it out of you.
Okay.
Talk to them.
Yeah, get some of it out of you.
Effective communication.
Yeah, you had communication.
Yeah.
Whereas in in modern day conflicts, I left the war. I left Iraq in 2007 in May. Or the first week in May. I was home within 3 days. I was in the States in 3 days.
Yeah. So you're there. There
I
are
was
bombs,
in
there are
Iraq.
grenades, there are guns.
In Iraq.
You're
And then in the States within 3 days. Like
right like that.
yeah, like they rotate you out. They
So
send
you go
home.
from loud bombs exploding in your ear.
Right. Well, so I was in the base outside Fallujah called Camp Fallujah, and we one of the interesting things about where I was is, and it was a pretty nice base. Like we slept in rooms. And that had air conditioning. Like it was,
Well,
it was
that's
nice.
pretty cool.
I was, look, I was ecstatic. I got to go to Chow Hall. If
Yeah.
I got, so that was nice. But the artillery unit was 20 feet, 50, 30 feet on the other side of the road, and when they, had to fire, they would often fire over our living, our dwelling or our living spaces, and that sounds like a freight train coming over you. Like imagine a freight train coming up above us right now. That's what that would sound like. It is immensely loud. And then, like it's funny, you see in war zones like videos, people talking about mortar fire and you're getting shelled. Like we had air like a siren that would go off when mortars would start coming at the base, and you were supposed to go into these concrete reinforced like sandbag bunkers that they had next to like everywhere around the base. It got to the point where like I just like I heard the siren, but if I didn't like hear the mortars hitting immediately, I would not go in because it's just so common, right? And so like you just go from that to like thinking and experiencing near death, to I'm in the States.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
So it's just a bounce. They expect you to just bounce back.
right. Well, I don't know what the expectation is, but you don't have that time. You don't have that time to communicate.
So when you got
and
back,
process.
what was difficult to adjust back? Why was it so difficult to adjust back?
Driving was miserable. I used to, because I would do driving patrols, and I
Yeah.
would watch out for IEDs and stuff, and so like being in a car, and like people flying by us, like. Oh, like drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what what did it make you think of? Was it?
it was just my internal body was terrified.
Right.
Because in Iraq, if someone had like approached our convoy too close, we have to shoot them.
Yeah.
Right, because they might have a bomb in their
Gotcha.
car
Okay.
and try to explode it on us.
So you're ready to take action.
Right.
Every time that you hear something moving. I want to just give you a couple statistics. U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs data. The following statistics are based on the U.S. population. About 7 or 8 out of every 100 people, or 7 to 8% of the population, will have PTSD at some point in their lives. About 8 million adults have PTSD during a given year. This is only a small portion of those who have gone through a trauma. About 10 of every 100 women, or 10% of women, develop PTSD sometime in their lives, compared with about 4 of every 100 men in the cases that we see. Derek, you live with a psychiatrist.
Yes.
How is it being diagnosed with a mental illness and yet living with someone who diagnoses, who treats? Is it a help? Is it a hindrance? Is there a passion? Is there a compassion? Is there understanding? What does that look like?
Well, actually, I don't think it's that different from maybe anybody else's life. And the reason why is because, and like I said, my mom's a psychotherapist. Like professionals know the risks of, treating their own family.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if my partner were to try to, like, first of all, I would understand because I've been through enough mental health care treatments that I know what's happening, right? But, like, if there was not a trust there, that, like, if she's talking to me about something that's going on with mental health, she's approaching it from my partner perspective and not from the psychiatrist's perspective.
Yeah.
Like, it would just be, like, I can't imagine how that would be beneficial.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, and that's the thing, is like, because, you know, I live with a professional, she doesn't do that. I mean, that would be ridiculous. And she has her own wealth of experience she can draw on without being a psychiatrist. She doesn't need, I'm a psychiatrist, to help me and, like, talk to me about mental health care. She's been living with me for 10 years. She knows what I'm like. She knows everything that goes on before I know it half the time. So, it's...
So, Derek, you're married 2 times. And when you decided that you would be vulnerable enough to share this, had you already shared this with your wife? What was that moment like when you decided, I will share this with your wife?
My wife is a family medicine doctor. So as a family medicine doctor, she absorbs everything. When I finally told her about the molestation and rape, she didn't know how to take it, because for so many years I had been super tight. I wasn't vulnerable. I didn't share. I'll receive your pain. I can talk to you, but I'm Superman. I'm really Superman. So I don't have pain. So I didn't know how to share, because I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want that Superman cloak or protection around me to be damaged. I didn't want a chink in my armor. It made me vulnerable. It made me just like you. And I'm super tired, you know. Yeah. So when I gave it to her, she didn't know how to respond. Yeah. Like, what you mean? You know, so the older my daughters get, I'm protective of my daughters, but at the same time, I want to be informative. I need for them to know that Daddy is human. Yeah. And I call it the preacher syndrome. Preachers get up on put in Terrence, it's not a shot at you, sir. I love you. Preachers get up on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon or whatever day of the week, and they can tell us about all our sins that we're currently doing and the ramifications of our sin, but they forgot they wrote a couple books in their past. So I can jump on you and tell you you're going to heaven or hell and you're not doing A, B, C, and D, but I wrote the blueprint for how to get away with this. Yeah. And I felt as though I was being phony, because I was being tough all the time, and I didn't see my dad cry. Yeah. he didn't see his father cry. Yeah. So a lot of the trauma and a lot of the pain that I endured was because people wasn't being real with themselves. Yeah. So so even to this day, like me and my wife, we're learning to communicate. Yeah. We talk. We've been talking to each other for 20 years. Yeah. We're finally learning to communicate. Mm-hmm. And communication is, we're talking now. I'm talking, you're listening. Mm-hmm. You receive what I say. Then you ask me a question based off what I said. Mm-hmm. For years, it was just conversation. Before I finished my statement, she had a Me Too moment. Well, I went through that too. Mm-hmm. I survived it. Say that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm trying to be vulnerable, and she looking at me like, suck it up, you got to be tough. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yo, this ain't working. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I can't be vulnerable with the person in my house, gotta get out. You know, but you know, it's so that's a part of my freedom for 19. My motto is free myself. Mm-hmm. Yes. So by me freeing myself and sharing my pain, is someone else's gain. Yeah. You know,
So one thing that, when Terrence brought that up, I was like, oh, yeah, that's perfect. Because one of the things that my partner and I are doing to process our own traumas and our own experiences is learning how to appreciate the scars that we have. Not the wounds, but the scars. Because, you know, and we are both consider ourselves Christian as well. So in our lens, you know, we are approaching this as like, okay, how do we appreciate the scars that we have to show that this is like healing has happened and healing can happen, right? And I think the irony of that is that when we have these scars, we're too tempted to cover them up, and so we don't show that healing can happen, right? And so when you show the scars, say, look, I recovered, or I am recovering, you know, you can tell people that healing is possible, right? And I think a lot of people, when they're dealing with mental illness, whatever form they have, they just don't know it's possible,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so without the possibility of hope,
Yeah.
what are you supposed to do
Right.
if you have no hope?
And they should be free by their testimony. But I just want to turn to because we have folks who are here with us. I want to know, where is this resonating with you, and what are y'all hearing, and other people in the squad are out here that feel they've gone through something similar, or that they feel they can relate on. Yeah. Just anything.
I resonate with you. Like you said, for 20 years, you and your wife have been just having conversations, but now you're learning to communicate. I think it's also good for your mental health to unlearn those toxic behaviors. So, and I feel like that's what I'm in the process of doing. And it takes a lot of, patience and everything else to do that, unlearn those behaviors.
Amen. Thank you.
Unlike most stereotypical African American households, mine wasn't the same, or my family structure wasn't the same. I was able to talk about everything and anything with my parents, but that did not stop me from going through some trauma later on in life. But I'm able to divulge anything with my parents, and my grandmother, who was one of my biggest was the biggest role model of my life. I was able to talk to her about every and anything in life, but it came to a point when I did get older, and some trauma did happen to me, and as lively as I lived my life, I did hide it. Some trauma with me and my father, surrounding my sexuality and things of that sort. I did hide it from the family, not necessarily my friends, but the family, because I just didn't know if they could understand or even carry the weight of my truth in that moment, in that situation. Because a lot of people, when you go tell about something that happens, if they've been around that person just for that amount of time, they can kind of sort of devalue what happened to you based on their experience with that person. And so I didn't know how to actually really say this to people, because I was still trying to protect that person's image as well, because of who they were to the family and who they were to the family. So I was like, how can I talk about this? And one thing I can say, in the black family, which I have learned over the last couple of years, our feelings are devalued by how much our parents were able to provide for us.
Doesn't have to be black.
Yeah.
Or okay, so let me take that back. So just in families, so I went through some stuff with a family member, my mom and stuff, and for years we would try to have this conversation about it, like, what, this is that and the third, this is that and the third. I would say how I felt, and she would say, her response was always, well, I provided this for you and I did this for you, so I don't even see how you can even feel that way. And I'm like, wait, huh?
That's not exclusively to
and so it was
families.
Yeah.
And so it took some years and some maturity for me to grow up and learn how to actually properly communicate that with her, because I was like, Mom, just because you provided things don't mean that I did not experience trauma at your hand. Yes, my mother is an excellent provider, and it was an excellent provider for me while I lived underneath her home. I never wanted for anything. I was a baby, so I was spoiled. But that did not that did not stop me from going through emotional trauma and things of that sort. And lastly, and I'm gonna pass it to Somalia. It's so funny that we're talking about this, because I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago, and a lot of people, when they say get over it, or it's happened 10, 15 years ago, get over it, or it happened 5 years ago, get over it. You can't look at the time that between that happened from it. You gotta look at how deep the cut is, how deep the wound really is. You can't look at just the linear time of like, oh, that happened to you 20 years ago. No, it happened 20 years ago, but the cut is deeper than 20 years ago. It's still there, and it never got healed. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
I don't think. Did she have that? I think Louise wanted to.
Louise, how much time do we got?
You good.
So thank you guys for sharing, especially you. I can resonate with your story a lot. I do know that in my household and just growing up, it was never okay to talk about your feelings. Even my mom, she was always superwoman. Like, you know, she was sad, she would do it behind closed doors, and never let us see that. And I think that's why I grew up the way that I did. It took me a while to be able to show people that I can be vulnerable or that I can cry. And it made me realize that I wanted to work with kids because I didn't want kids to grow up the way that I did. I needed them to have a person to tell them that it's okay to use your experiences as your strength and not a reason to say that I'm weak. So I think that it's resonating, and I got a lot more to say, but my mind is all over the place, so I'm processing. Struggling with the mic, guys.
So one of the things that kind of resonates with me, I think he kind of touched on is, and Kenyatta touched on, was removing those negative mindsets and just approaches that we have with mental health. It's not limited to just a black household or white house. I think it's just with any household. For me, like, one of the things I'm realizing is that I might not have gone through a war or molestation or rape, but I've gone through something.
Yes, sir.
And it takes acknowledging that is the first step. And then the other thing is, you know, it's okay. Don't ever compare your strength to another person's strength. So like,
you can't compare everybody.
like my parents, they grew up in a different country and had to literally walk from that country to here, and they had to build a tough type of skin because they didn't know if this was the right investment or the right thing to do. And so I can't blame them for being who they are or who they had to be in that moment. What I can do is thank them for even allowing me, even for the trauma, in a sense, because it allowed me to rely on God's strength in my life.
Amen.
So it's just the perspectives and the mindset change of what we consider scars are beautiful works of art that God allows us to display.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For that comment.
So we have some comments from online. Gretchen Ellison said, Lord Jesus. Vanessa Gibson, good point. You found support with others who had similar experiences. I think she was talking to I think that was to you. I don't know. She said also, yes, celebrate the scars. They are the indications of healing. Good stuff. Kalila Washington said, our parents weren't taught to deal with their trauma, so they didn't know how to help us deal with ours. That is so true. That is so true.
But I can say that I really applaud us all for having this conversation. I'm having it with my friends a lot more, that we are open to having the mental health discussion within our families, within our households, within our friendships, within our workplaces, within our groups. So we don't have all the answers, and we're not going to find the answers to these scars and these traumas, but it's important that we're starting to hear.
So I want to come back to our panel. Derek, so are you on, because of PTSD, is there medication that you take?
So I do take a medication, but not because of PTSD.
Okay.
I mean, I have other issues
Right. But
that I
just
need
for
to deal with that I take medication for,
Okay.
but not because of PTSD.
Yeah.
It's possible that those are like related, but I don't like my PTSD. When I deal with PTSD, I have developed over. I did continuous therapy for about 3.5 years.
Okay.
And so I learned strategies to deal with it.
Okay.
So I would
And
say
those strategies come from?
From therapy, from just experience. Like from people who learned before me.
Yeah.
Right, and said, hey, this is how you get. Like, one of the things that really helped me in PTSD was realizing that I was not like permanently weakened. Someone told me this metaphor: you consider yourself a piece of cardboard. If you bend the piece of cardboard and then put it back straight, the bend is there.
Yeah.
The bend doesn't just go away.
But it's still cardboard.
But you can reinforce it.
Yeah.
You can make it stronger. Bend is still there, but you can make it stronger. So like the mindset of, okay, I have a bend, but I can still be strong.
Yeah.
Was really helpful for me to start, to manage my PTSD.
I think Louise was gonna. Okay, gotcha. I'm sorry. So I want to say this. So another quick point: in 51% of mass shootings, the shooter exhibited dangerous warning signs before the shooting. In 51% of the shootings, I want to bring us back to what happened over this weekend. So we're talking about mental health. We're talking about this wellness. We're talking about counseling. We're talking about folks who display. When we look at the things that have happened in our country over the last weekend, and again, just so we're clear, 216 days, 251 shootings.
Wow.
What? That more shootings than there are days. Is this mental illness?
So,
I mean, I'm sure we both have opinions.
Yeah.
And
Out of control.
well, so it's so certain things. I heard gun control.
Mm-hmm.
If we change the laws today so that nobody can purchase a gun, there's still 100 billion guns out there.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if I want to do something to you,
Right.
it's going to get done.
Right.
With me being who I am and loving the profession the way I love it, I don't like the rep that mental health gets. You know, it's a cop-out. Oh, it's mental health, mental health, mental health, mental health. There are so many of us who suffer with mental health that we would never, ever pick up a gun and hurt a flea.
Yeah.
So I think it's a cop-out when you allow whoever the individual who just killed a bunch of people, that's their moment of fame.
Yeah.
That's their John Wayne moment. That's their Superman moment. So they know for that moment, I'm going to be all over the news. So if I've been dealing with mental health, or if I've been dealing with abuse, if I've been dealing with whatever, by the way, I've never been diagnosed, but I know I got problems.
Exactly.
That's why I stay on my knees. You know what I'm saying? That's why I listen to other people. I've never been diagnosed, but first I went to a psychotherapist my mom and dad got a divorce at 14. So 14 or 15, Daddy went in, and she was in there talking, psychotherapist, and what made me decide to do what I'm doing now. I wouldn't say nothing. So if you go back to what's the movie with Denzel Washington and Luke?
Training? No.
The military movie.
Andre Fisher, somebody.
Antoine
Antoine
Fisher.
Fisher.
Oh, that's right.
Come on, folks online. Y'all supposed to be helping us out, man.
So I was that guy who went and sat there in front of her for like 4 sessions. And what broke the camel's back was she offered me a lollipop
Yeah.
and asked me to come sit on her lap. Now this is an older white lady. She said, "You won't talk to me? It's been 4 sessions. Here's a lollipop. Come sit on my lap." I said, "Yo, I'm done. I'm out of here." I said, "If she can get paid for offering the lollipop, I want to do that." That's what a 15-year-old in me said.
Yeah.
But that started me on my journey. So mental health is real. I've never been diagnosed as clinical depression. I've never been diagnosed as schizophrenic or bipolar or whatever. And honestly, I'm not going seeking his mom professional advice. I don't want to know the truth. I just know I'm actively dealing with it. So mental health gets a bad rep because in the same saving grace, there are a lot of us who have been diagnosed with mental health. The most craziest of scientists and creative people had a mental illness. The greats of the greats. They have some kind of stigma attached to their name. You didn't see them having a mass shooting. So bottom line, whoever that person is, you're a coward. That's my personal opinion. Tyrese McCall. You're a coward.
Yeah.
If I can walk into a school and shoot kids, or into a Walmart, or and then you are a, my opinion again, Tyrese McCall. On top of being a coward, you're full of hatred.
Yes, that's it.
You're full of hatred. You I don't care who you are. I heard my brother say, he was a Marine, so am I. He said that the way we was trained, and I was blessed not to have to go serve in a time of war. And that's a blessing, because I see my brothers come home, and they're like, "Oh man, you survived, you need to be happy." Can you imagine not sleeping, and when you sleep, you wide awoke?
Yeah.
So, and then the government says, "You okay? Take this medication and call me in the morning."
Yeah.
I just go smoke a joint. It's illegal for everybody else, but you smoke this joint, and you'll be okay because it'll help you go to sleep.
Already.
So this is the And they throw all this up on the mental health because it's a good, nice umbrella and it sounds cute and sweet and sexy, and nobody ever diagnoses it.
Yeah.
So I'm protective of the term mental health. Don't blame mental health for it.
Yes.
You're a coward. You're a racist. You're a bigot. You're whoever. And you can be black, white, green, poor, Asian, whatever. If you do that, but then again, if I've been raised from day one to be willing to die for the cause, is that mental health, or I'm doing what I believe in? That falls up under mental health. Like if I'm raised from day one, like, look, you're serving in whatever religion you are, and you're calling out, you're going to die one day. I'm going to pick your number. It's going to be your time to strap on this, and you're going to walk in, and you're going to do the name in the name of whomever. To me, that's meant to everybody else. That's mental illness. But to you, you're doing a just cause because you've been raised this way your whole life. So all of this is bound up on the mental health, and it's unfair to those in that profession. It's just it's a belief.
And I agree with what Terrence said. I agree that if you are a mental health care professional, how are you going to prevent a mass shooting? It's not your job is to treat a patient, right? And you have mandatory reporting for certain behaviors, but I mean your job is not that. I mean, your job is not like the people who do that are spouting hate. That's hate. That's not like I have mental health issues. I don't want to go kill everyone. Like
so we're going to end in just a few seconds, but I got actually there's two comments.
Yes. So Kalila Washington, she said, "I want to say when it comes to the mass shootings, it's okay for people to say they have mental quote unquote problems when it's really hatred problem. When it comes to people who are African American, we are thugs and criminals, etc. I don't like using mental illness as an excuse when they are really people out there struggling with mental health issues." Vanessa Gibson, thank you, Kalala, for that. Vanessa Gibson said again, mental health/illness is a spectrum, just like physical health. There are people with illness that have not been diagnosed. There are times when members of our general public are physically healthy and times when they are ill. We all have mental health. And on any given day, we can be on a different part of the spectrum. I totally agree. I totally agree. Because I can be nice some days, and I can be manic at a moment's notice. Because when I was young, I was diagnosed ADHD, but that's mental health. And it took me a long time to struggle with how to control that myself. I did go to psychologists and psychiatrists and stuff like that, but it took me until I got older and mature and realized that my irate behavior wasn't acceptable to rein myself in. But I still am irate. People gonna hate me or love me. Sorry.
Drops mic.
So I want to stop here and just ask two more questions. One, and we can do short answers.
Okay.
With PTSD, is a person with PTSD, do you think that it's okay for other people who have PTSD to own a gun?
Yes, because I don't think mental health is the determination here. It's not the culprit. Now, if that person has shown violent tendencies, that's different. If that person has shown a capacity to try to hurt other people, that's different. But that's not a question of if they have mental health. That's if they have like a different issue.
Right.
Now, they could be possibly linked, but that doesn't mean like someone has PTSD, automatic ban, right? What I'm saying is that like the issue that we need to address isn't whether or not they have mental health problems, mental illness. It's is that what is the patterns of that person's life, right? Because we were talking, Terrence was talking about that person. Some person had hate spewed into them, right? So then they're spewing hate to other people,
right?
And so if we know, if you see somebody who has that issue, and has demonstrated the capacity to act on it, because you can have hate in your heart and not act on it.
Right.
But if you've demonstrated the capacity to act on it, then maybe we should consider not selling that person a gun. But at the same time, like you can't catch everybody. Like that's just not possible.
So and I know that you have something to say. I do want to say we were going to move into the red flag laws that are on the books as well right now, because in that,
Are you talking about the ones that are on the books or the ones that are being proposed?
the ones being proposed.
Okay.
When I say on the books, that's actually what I meant, proposed.
Okay.
But so they're saying that if a person looks like, or if there's a thought that a person has acted out erratically or shown some sort of signs that they're not eligible or shouldn't be eligible to have guns, you can file for a petition with the courts, and those courts can then, if they find that this person that has shown those signs, that they won't have those weapons or they can't allow.
So once again, that goes to the preacher syndrome.
Yeah.
Because I have a documented case of I got into it with my brother, and therefore I have a first-degree assault on my record.
Yeah.
Because he slept with my wife, or he stole some money
Yeah,
from me, or whatever it is. I'm red flag now.
Yeah.
But all these cops and all these judges who have cases that were never flagged, but you're bat crazy, and you own every gun. Like it's almost like profiling, and we're trying to be reactive. The ones who want to kill somebody, they got a gun already. Now they have cases where he went and bought the gun last week or 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Please understand, he has some other gun. He just got a new toy.
Yeah.
He understand that, okay, I'm going to my last blaze of glory. I'm going out like Raimon.
Yeah.
I'm going to have the newest technology, the newest whatever. And if you... So I'm going to go out in style. I'm not going to go with a 20-year-old shotgun. Give me that AK-47 and let me go out in the blaze of glory.
Yeah.
And that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
But please understand, all of them, when they search the house, there's another 30 guns available.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
It's illegal guns that people have.
Illegal, legal.
Yeah,
it's a gun.
I got you.
So we hide behind this mental health, but we all got PTSD.
Yeah.
That time that person ran a stop sign, so every time I get to a stop sign now, I'm traumatic. Like I don't want to go through the stop sign. That's PTSD. So we just want to make it this violent thing. PTSD opens up doors for help. It's not this.
You were.
I did have something to say. I've always thought of it in the gun control aspect, but I have to say, thinking over instances in my life where it was either life or death, where I could have taken someone's life, it is mental, because at the moment where I knew that I was about to really, really do some damage, something clicked in my brain, was like, stop, you're going to jail. And I couldn't go there. I can't go to jail. I look too good, really. So I had to stop, and so I realized that now it is a mental thing, because it's really not about what you have. Because if it was about the physical thing that I could have used to kill that person, that would have happened. But it was really my mind saying, it was a moment come back, don't do that. So it is mental. That was just a revelation I got out of this. Well, mental health and stuff like that.
Well, I want to push back on you, because being someone who had to participate in a war zone, I decided to learn about what it takes to kill someone. I've never had to personally kill someone, thankfully, but the training that you go through in the military helps you override your natural tendency not to kill other people of your own species. You have a natural tendency not to do that.
Right.
And so, maybe 1% to 2% of the population is predisposed to not caring and will just kill one anyway. But the vast majority of us, when it comes down to I have the gun, there has to be something else, right? And that's why hatred is so powerful. Is hatred easily overrides your natural tendency to not shoot another human being. Right? Hatred is what dehumanizes that other person, so then they're not a human being. So you're not shooting another human being. You're shooting some stereotype or some whatever. So I think that's important to and that's why calling it mental health again, as Terrence said, is just a cop out.
Tyrell.
Tyrese. Sorry, I thought you were
the singer Tyrese.
Yeah, yeah.
I say
but
Tyrell.
that's a cop out, and we can talk about red flag laws but is that actually going to stop hatred?
Yeah.
Like, if I hate someone and I feel like I am being invaded and need to protect my family, I'm going to, you could do something with, and I do believe that there are interesting and useful things to say about gun control,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure red flag law is that.
So I want to ask you a question, and we're going to close here. Your question is, in less than a minute, what do you say to people who, what's the thing you want to get out to people who don't understand PTSD, who don't understand depression, who are looking at it and thinking, you're going to go off at some moment, you're just going to kill somebody, you're a bad person. What's the one thing that you would say to those folks that are with this and that are watching this online?
Let's say talk to me first, and when you connect to my humanity, you'll change your mind.
Okay. Teresa, I want to ask you your last question. You've shared so much about and being vulnerable with us. To the folks that are here and that are watching who have wrestled with the things that have been done to them in the past, what do you say to them to get them to move forward in life?
Forgive yourself. It's not about the predator. For years I hated other people that didn't give a damn about me. They were living their life. So I hated my mom. She did what she had to do. I hated my father. I hated the coach. They wasn't worried about me no more. Most people who hurt you, they hurt you and they keep on moving because they hurt somebody else.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here waiting for that person to come back and relieve me. You owe me an apology. You need to tell me this. This is a plug for to the ones listening, and we have a website. You can go on the internet. The internet is a bad thing. You can find out whatever you want, good, bad, ugly, and indifferent. But we have a website, me and my partner. It's called Introspective Consultation LLC. So it's www.introspectiveconsultationllc.org, and you can go there. You can type in different symptoms that you have, different medications you have, and it'll tell you about mental health illness, mental health diagnoses, and so on. So, you can reach out, you can define, but we'll went to other websites and we'll put on a compilation of different things. But the thing with introspective consultation is, for our whole life, I've spent my life pointing a finger at him. But in that pointing the finger at him, there's one pointing finger pointing at him. There are three fingers pointing back at me. Mm-hmm. We never address these three people because we're focused on him. Mm-hmm. And I'm encouraging people to stop pointing the finger and deal with me, myself, and I. Mm-hmm. So by dealing with me, myself, and I can answer all of my whys. Mm-hmm. The person that you see in the morning when you're brushing his teeth, he or she has the answers to all of your problems. Mm-hmm. Now, if I want to continue to hate him because of that one thing he did back in '93 at band camp, I'm never going to move along. If I want to forgive him, God bless you, keep it moving. I've just freed myself of him, and he's no longer a concern. Mm-hmm. So as I brush my teeth, I need to free myself of another individual every day. Mm-hmm. Eventually, after I free myself of all the people that I hate or dislike, I'm forced to deal with myself. Mm-hmm. And in mental health, it's the study of getting to know yourself. As long as I'm focusing on somebody else, I'm going to always suffer. Everybody who's dealing with mental health has somebody else to blame, and nobody's blaming themselves. So that's a part of my campaign for Tiresias in 2019 was, you got to free yourself of your own demons. If I never see you again, I'm going to forgive you. God bless you. Whatever's going to come to you is going to come to you, but I'm free of that. And once you do that, the whole world opens up. But you have to do it introspectively. You got to deal with the person in the mirror. Yeah.
So you can follow us on all of our different social media. We've got Encounter the Well, both on Facebook and Instagram, Encounter the Well. You can follow us at www.encounterthewell.org. Also, we are grateful that we're able to team up with the Amplify Network, so you can follow them at the Amplify Network, both on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm going to leave you with this, that there's a scripture that we here at the Well have been really going over for the last couple of months. Also, let me just also note this. We're trying to bring more programming like this to you at home. We also want to make sure that we have people that are part of our encounter here in person. So you can feel free to come and be a part of. We have teams that help out with different things. Also, if you want to join us and invest in what we're doing, because we really need your investment to help us grow and move forward, you can text to give, and that is 84321. You text us any dollar amount, so $1, $5, $10, $100, whatever's in your heart, to give, so that we can begin to move programs like this, because it's all about communicating and being able to open up conversations like this in diverse ways, in powerful ways, to empower people. 84321 is that place. We believe in the 5 P's: passion, purpose, promise, power, and peace. Those are the places that we want to lead you to. Passion, purpose, promise, peace, and power. Everything we do should lead you down that path. So we want to make sure that all of our programs, all of our encounters are leading you to feel some sort of way that you are on that path to your purpose, and all of those other 5 P's. Listen, tonight, I hope that you've learned something. I hope that you've opened your mind up to something. I hope that God has moved in your heart. I hope that you're thinking a lot about what mental health really means in a society where we're seeing people deal with mental health problems and issues. We want to take that seriously, and we want to have the conversation. As households, have the conversation with your mom. Have dinner with your families. Put your phone down for a little while. Have conversations and talk. We just really need to talk to each other in this world a lot more. There's a scripture, and I'll leave you with this. Jesus says this when he was amongst us. He says, there's a new commandment I give you. Love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. And Mark, he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second commandment is this, and it's just as great. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. I think Brother Tiresias closed this out really well when he said, you've got to look back at yourself and figure out, do you love you? Because it's all about loving you. And that's what we're all about here at the Well, is loving yourself so that you can love others. Because if you don't love yourself first, you cannot love others. Because the commandment is love others as you love yourself. Please share this with many people. Send this off to people's messages. Let them enjoy this conversation. Open up your churches. We want to partner with you so we can have more conversations like this. And listen, you've encountered the Well on tonight, so go out and share this with everybody that you can so that they can have the same experience that you had tonight. God bless you, and we'll see you again next week. Peace out.
You should have told us we was the studio audience.